Hey everybody, today we're getting together with one of our suppliers, Duality Systems. We have the founder, CEO, Laurel Chiaramonte with us today. Welcome, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so we're just gonna kind of talk through the solution that Duality Systems provides, and it's all around scheduling and how they interface into organizations. Healthcare being one of the specific ones, but we're just gonna talk through some things and get to know you a little better. So Laurel, thank you. Tell me a little bit about you and your company and how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Wade. So Duality Systems started because I, as a nurse, had a problem on my floor that I was trying to solve.
Uh-huh.
I was writing the schedule for a very small Med Surg floor as a young lieutenant in the Air Force, and it took me 12 to 14 hours to do. There were over 7,000 variables in that schedule, days, nights, different certifications and such. My husband was working on his PhD in industrial engineering, and he said, "Let me fix this for you." So he developed essentially his own AI language,
Wow.
using a set of combinatorial algorithms that optimizes that process. So for my very small med surg unit, it took me from 12 to 14 hours down to about 45 seconds. The nurses liked his solution more, and it eliminated human error and perceived bias. Um, so it was two very different backgrounds, two people with very different backgrounds coming together at a problem from two different directions.
Yeah. To
Hence,
solve a problem, to come
hence
up with a
duality.
solution.
Yep,
Well, great,
exactly.
good deal. So I imagine that was a very large scheduling task to have to figure that out.
Yeah, it definitely was. It took a very long time without his algorithm.
Understood, understood. So, well, good deal. Well, that's very interesting. So tell me a little bit about without getting into of obviously any kind of proprietary information.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about how your solution works and how will that take me through the process.
Yeah, it's really cool. So all of the variables that go into a period of scheduling, we put in on the front end of the algorithm.
Hmm.
So certain licensures, if they need ACLS, BLS, whatever is required, we can add their nursing license with their expiration date. We can add if they have a chemotherapy subspecialty or certified to be a charge nurse, med nurse, whatever. All of that goes in on the front end of the algorithm. We can add PTO, we can pull that from a time and attendance system, or you can put it into our system. And then we also include preferences of the staff that we're scheduling. So if a nurse maybe has kids at home and likes to be home on the weekends to be with the kids, they can say, "I prefer not to work on the weekends." Um, when I was a very young nurse, my husband and I were geographically separated. The only thing that mattered to me was getting 4 days off in a row so that I could drive down to Phoenix and hang out with him. So you can go in, put in your preferences, you can update them at any time. Life happens, things
Yep.
change. Go in and change that whenever. So we would go into an organization, find out what's important on the front end for their schedules, train their staff up on how to use the scheduler. But really, all it is um, make sure everyone has their preferences in, push a button, and you get a schedule.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. So you essentially you can layer on top of anything else the organization has to be that scheduling centralized, solution and pull from the other systems and things of that nature. So if even if an organization already maybe has a functionality built in, your system can come in and work with that or actually in lieu of that.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we can plug into your HR system, your time and attendance system, your EHR even. We can pull data from there or push data to those systems.
So essentially sometimes a lot of those, understanding those HR systems with scheduling, that's a module you have to add on. A lot of times you have to pay for that additional module. You could actually, compare the two, like a duality systems versus that, and then end up landing with duality and then using that as your scheduler.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly
Okay,
right.
good deal. All right. Tell me a little bit about how you would roll out a project and your structure of your company. Tell me about your support. Like, ideally, if I was a healthcare facility, how would you come in and work with me and support me?
So the first thing that we would do is we're not an out of the box kind of organization. We're not going to chunk a software at you and tell you, good luck. So we would actually come into the organization, whether it's in person or virtually, and we would talk to all of the stakeholders that were involved in writing the schedule, from the manager level, employee level, all the way up through leadership. What do you want to see? What goes into your schedule? What certifications, et cetera. We can pull in float pools, we can pull in gig nurses, and we can tweak our algorithm to meet the organization's needs. So we can tweak it so that it maximizes your revenue. At what point does overtime cost more than using a gig worker? Because that's more expensive typically.
Sure.
Once we figure out what's most important to your organization, we would run a couple schedules as just scenarios and make sure that we got everything, because sometimes you do things that you don't even realize that you're doing when you're writing the schedule. Sure. And then we'll run a couple of trials and make sure everything works, train up the staff and go for it.
That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of things in statistic wise, as far as, everybody's looking for what does it cost? How much how does this new solution, it's going to cost something, because it has to, right? Everything got to cost something. But a lot of times with solutions, there's ROI. And, whether you're looking at it from a operational departmental expense that's part of, like in healthcare for nurses, or maybe the CFO is looking at the whole organization, those ROIs are important, and everybody's driving down cost. There's a lot of lost time with schedules. That's huge. I believe a statistic that I think that you actually call out in some of your documentation is about 12 billion a year in turnover. And there's the top 10 reasons that people leave or nurses leave is why they're impacted by their schedule. Yep. I work with a lot of hospitals. I hear it all the time. So I understand, not just in nursing, but even in IT and in environmental services or whatever, turnover costs money. Yep. And the schedule drives that end result. Right. So this is something that you've spent a lot of time, evaluating and really methodically coming up to the solution, which you've rolled out with your Duality Systems. And the balance scheduler, is that pretty much?
Yep.
So you solved the scheduling problem. I mean, essentially.
Right. Yep. And the direct ROI, to your point, is that the assistant manager is not spending that time writing the schedule. So now they can get back to doing whatever it is that they were hired to do. Yeah. And there was an AONL study that came out earlier this year that showed that if a assistant manager can have one meaningful impact with meaningful interaction with their team members, it decreases the chance of them turning over by 60%. So the ROI on that, just being able to get that manager out to the floor, to your point, can be billions, depending on the size of your organization.
Which some of the statistics I believe that you have put out there is around 50 some odd improvement in the schedule satisfaction, right?
Right.
And nearly 100% improvement in the time to schedule, which is huge whenever you start looking at that. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, this is pretty much fully automated, though. I mean, that's pretty much how that rolls out. And isn't there an algorithm somewhere around less than 15 minutes is the time that the runtime of this thing?
Yeah, and that's going to depend on the size and complexity of your system, but yeah, we've not had a run that took longer than 15 minutes.
Good deal. Gotcha. Good deal. Well, listen, this is great stuff. I mean, it's a viable solution. I believe that the organizations needs to look at this, no matter what size. I mean, it's a fit. But there's definitely a need to schedule in every organization. And so, as we wrap up, can you tell me, anything else you want to say, or any kind of points you want to hit on?
I think that the scheduling problem is the same across any healthcare organization, and if you give us a couple hours of your time to figure out how it is that you schedule, we can save you just hours and hours and hours of time staring at Excel spreadsheets and improve your satisfaction and the satisfaction of your employees.
So whether you have a scheduling system or not currently,
Yeah.
it's worth having Duality come in and take a look and vet and see, hey, what can we do to help? And you even have a way to pilot and test some of this stuff out right before
Yep.
they roll into an actual full-fledged engagement.
Yep, we would absolutely love to partner and see what that would look like.
Good deal. Listen, Laurel, thank you for this time today. And hey, look, we're educating and letting folks understand about your solution, your product, which I believe is a good product. I've seen it. I've been able to work with you for a while now, and I think you've got a good solution that's definitely applicable and needed in the market. So looking forward to seeing what we can pull together and getting some organizations to take a look at Duality Systems.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for your time, Wade.
Thank you, Laura. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks.